Salyut 7 Angels. June 1984 marked the Soviet Union's 9th mission to its orbital space station, Salyut 7. The mission, launched on Cosmonauts Day, was intended to resupply the station and conduct scientific and technical research. However, the mission gained more fame not for its scientific endeavors, but for a mystifying experience reported by the crew members. The accounts involve an ethereal encounter that occurred 155 days into their 237-day mission. The day started typically, until the cosmonauts reported seeing a fog that transformed into an intense, blinding light enveloping their spacecraft. From the celestial luminescence, they claimed to have witnessed the appearance of 7 angelic figures, each comparable in size to an airliner, with a serene expression and outstretched wings. These beings supposedly remained visible for 10 minutes, silently moving outside the station before disappearing. This wasn't an isolated incident either. The angels were said to have reappeared a week later when the space station was joined by another team of 3 from Salyut's T-12. The cosmonauts were seasoned professionals, not prone to hysteria or hallucinations. Many were experienced pilots and engineers, and 2 were physicians. They had undergone rigorous psychological testing to withstand the mental challenges of long-duration space travel. Yet all 6 reported seeing the same entities, which lent credibility to the account. Scientists on Earth have proposed theories to explain this celestial mystery, ranging from the plausible to the outlandish. Some have suggested a mass hallucination induced by high carbon dioxide levels, a common issue in space stations. Others pointed toward a phenomenon called cosmic rays visual phenomena, where high-energy particles stimulate optic nerves, causing flashes of light. Some insisted it was a psychological coping mechanism for the harsh isolation and monotonous environment of space. Despite the scrutiny and countless hypotheses, no definitive explanation has emerged. Edwards Air Force Base UFO. Gordon Cooper, a decorated astronaut and one of the original 7 Mercury crew members of the United States' first manned space program, is celebrated for his daring exploits in the space race era. Called the cosmic cowboy of his time, Cooper has since become known for his stories of UFO sightings and claims about extraterrestrials. Cooper's most credible UFO encounter occurred on May 3, 1957, and was documented in his autobiography, Leap of Faith. In the early morning hours at Edwards Air Force Base, Cooper and a crew composed of James Biddick and Jack Geddes, 2 individuals well-versed with experimental aircraft, were setting up an optical tracking system for upcoming aviation testing. During this routine mission, they spotted an anomalous object, described as a strange-looking saucer-like aircraft, descending silently upon the arid landscape. According to Cooper's recollection, the usually stoic man returned visibly rattled, narrating how the unidentified object hovered, landed using 3 landing gears, and then inexplicably took off as they neared it for a closer inspection. Cooper, aware of the significance of this sighting, reported the incident through a designated Pentagon hotline, only to receive an order to develop the film and forward it to the Pentagon in a locked courier pouch. However, there was no directive against viewing the negatives, an opportunity Cooper seized. The processed negatives, much to his astonishment, offered detailed evidence that corroborated the crew's account. Cooper was left in the dark after the incident, and his repeated attempts to trace the film led him to a dead end. He theorized that the images might have been integrated into Project Blue Book, the Air Force's official UFO investigation. His experiences with the unknown didn't end there. On May 15, 1963, during the final Project Mercury flight, Cooper reported a green glowing object approaching his spacecraft, Faith 7. His description was relayed to NASA's Muchia, Australia tracking station. The event was documented, but NASA later dismissed the sighting as a hallucination caused by high carbon dioxide levels in the spacecraft. Post-retirement, Cooper grew increasingly outspoken about his encounters and the reality of extraterrestrial life. He criticized the U.S. government's secrecy on the subject and advocated for full disclosure of classified UFO information. In 1978, he made global headlines by testifying before the United Nations about his experiences, becoming one of the highest-profile figures to discuss UFO sightings publicly. Cooper claimed the US government was suppressing evidence of extraterrestrial technology that could benefit humanity. Cooper passed away in 2004, leaving behind a trail of questions. His encounters with UFOs, once dismissed, are being reevaluated as the US government becomes more transparent about its investigations into aerial phenomena. Salyut 6 object. On May 5, 1981, Russian cosmonaut Vladimir Kovalyuk witnessed an unexplained event from the porthole of the Salyut 6 orbital spacecraft. As Salyut 6 flew over South Africa and towards the Indian Ocean, an elliptical object unexpectedly appeared, flying parallel to their course. Kovalyuk described the entity as a transparent barbell, composed of two spheres with a pulsating body inside and a reactive gas discharge at the other end. Strangely, the object performed movements unknown to any man-made entity, tightening, then expanding, pulsating, as Kovalyuk detailed. The spectacle culminated in two sequential explosions, and the object disappeared from sight. Kovalyuk was convinced of the object's non-artificial nature, stating, quote, "An artificial object could not attain this form." Yet, he also speculated that it followed a suborbital path, indicating a possible terrestrial origin. American space journalist Jim Oberg, drawn by the mystery of Kovalyuk's encounter, proposed a potential explanation linked to clandestine missile testing. Rockets ascending above an altitude of 100 kilometers generate exhaust plumes that, quote, "are translucent, glowing, constantly shape-shifting, and disappear completely within minutes." Such a display could align with Kovalyuk's account. However, no recorded rocket or missile test aligns with the timing of Kovalyuk's sighting. Still, the area in which the entity was observed, roughly 1,000 miles south of South Africa in the sub-Antarctic Indian Ocean, was long suspected of being used by Israel for top-secret weapons tests, including a possible atomic bomb test that was recorded by a US satellite in 1979. In this case, the object could have been a secret test flight of Israel's Jericho 2 missile. If the dummy warhead contained small maneuvering rocket engines, the subsequent firing bursts could have mimicked the shape-shifting object seen by Kovalyuk. Despite these compelling theories, Kovalyuk's 1981 encounter remains shrouded in mystery. The object's peculiar behavior and the lack of corroborating terrestrial activity leave the door open to speculation. Apollo 14 ESP experiments. Astronaut Edgar Mitchell's experiences beyond Earth's atmosphere would ultimately chart a course for his exploration of the uncharted regions of the mind and the universe's mysteries. Mitchell, who flew on Apollo 14, became known for his investigation into extrasensory perception and his controversial beliefs about unidentified flying objects. During the 9-hour journey back to Earth, Mitchell, an MIT-trained aeronautics engineer, performed a series of ESP experiments with 4 individuals on Earth, attempting to transmit his thoughts across the vacuum of space. The experiment was unsanctioned by NASA, but Mitchell was eager to explore the potential link between consciousness and the cosmos. Mitchell used Zener cards, a tool for testing psychic abilities, which display 5 distinct symbols. His Earthbound partners guessed the symbol he was focusing on. The astronaut reported that the results, while largely dismissed by the scientific community, were significantly above chance, hinting at a psychic connection. Mitchell's fascination with the unknown was not confined to psychic phenomena. In subsequent years, he became an outspoken advocate for UFO disclosure. In a 1996 interview with Dateline NBC, Mitchell declared he was, quote, 90% sure that many of the thousands of UFOs recorded since the 1940s belonged to visitors from other planets. He claimed meeting with officials from 3 countries who allegedly had personal encounters with extraterrestrials. He was convinced that governments were concealing alien visitations, and even claimed that UFOs had provided, quote, sonic engineering secrets beneficial to the US. Mitchell's assertions became increasingly bold over time. In 2004, he spoke of, quote, a cabal of insiders studying alien bodies and halting briefings to US presidents after John F. Kennedy. Quote, "We all know that UFOs are real. Now the question is where they come from," he said. In 2015, Mitchell suggested extraterrestrials were actively working to prevent war and create peace on Earth. He believed White Sands atomic tests piqued their interest, as they wanted to understand our military capabilities. Apollo 10 music. On May 22, 1969, astronauts Thomas Stafford, John Young, and Eugene Cernan plunged into a radio blackout aboard the Apollo 10 spacecraft, cut off from Earth contact as they maneuvered around the moon's far side. Apollo 10's primary objectives were to test all aspects of a lunar landing without actually making one, including the performance of the lunar module in the lunar environment and the execution of precision maneuvers and radar operations. Its mission was critically significant as a dress rehearsal for the Apollo 11 mission, which would famously achieve the first manned moon landing just 2 months later. The radio blackout was a moment imbued with profound solitude. Yet, they were seemingly not alone on the far side of the moon. Amid this silence, an eerie music-like sound filled the astronauts' headphones.
That music even sounds outer spacey, doesn't it? You hear that? That whistling sound? Yeah. Woo! Look at your... Yeah, it sounds like, outer space-type music.
The strange whistling noise, which the astronauts likened to outer space-type music, captivated them for about an hour. NASA's transcripts revealed their astonished reactions. Quote, "Do you hear that? That whistling sound?" With no terrestrial technology on the far side of the moon, the source of these eerie sounds remained a mystery. The crew debated whether to share their experience, fearing they'd be dismissed as hallucinating, or worse, unfit for future missions. Thus, the phenomenon remained classified in NASA's archives for almost 5 decades. The mystery resurfaced in 2016 with the declassification of the Apollo mission's documents. The space music, heard only by a privileged few, was now open for public scrutiny. Theories range from scientific to extraterrestrial, atmospheric chatter, radio interference from the spacecraft, or even an alien orchestra. The popular explanation leans toward radio interference between Apollo 10's lunar module, Snoopy, and the command module, Charlie Brown. While tested in Earth's orbit, similar sounds were recorded. However, nothing conclusive has ever been established. Which of these astronauts' accounts is most believable? Let me know in the comments. As always, thank you for watching Dark 5 and growing the complexity of our universal energy field. Like and subscribe to continue exploring the greatest mysteries of this world and beyond.